Welcome to the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast, where we don't take from insurance companies. Here are your hosts, Mr. Jordan Comstock and Mr. Ben Tuine. This podcast is sponsored by BoomCloud Dental Membership Software, www.boomcloudapps.com, and Veritas Dental Resources, www.veritasdentalresources.com. Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast, the Say No to PPO series. Still, we haven't changed the series since the beginning, but it's been an interesting journey. Today with me, I've got one of my good friends in dentistry, Penny Reed. I always enjoy when she comes on our show because she's very entertaining, very creative. Her last episode, I think we did, it must have been a year ago or so, but she talked about, she compared the patient experience to Disneyland, and I absolutely love that episode. It's one of my favorite ones, Penny. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be back. Yeah, you know me. I'm a Disney. Not only do I have Mickey in the background,
I see.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
there's always
awesome.
a Mickey nearby.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what did you do with Disneyland being closed? Is it still closed?
I was sad. Well, it derailed. Thankfully, my Disney conference was last year, so it did derail one Disney visit. And as much as I love the Disney parks, I don't know that I could be in one right now in the heat of the summer with a mask on.
Yeah, that's true. So did they I've heard they opened up Disney World, but is Disneyland still closed?
I don't know. I don't know if Disneyland. I'm closer to Orlando, so I tend to know more. I've been to Disney World. I don't know how many times I've been to Disney World. I've only been to Disneyland twice, but I've been to Disney World so many times. It's more than 25. So and after that, I kind of lost count.
So I need to go to Disney World. I'm obviously I'm here in Utah, so we're closer to
Disneyland.
So it's a quick drive for us. But anyways, I'm super excited to have you on this show. For those that may not know you, Penny, could you do a quick introduction of yourself and how you got into the dental consulting space?
Absolutely. So I am located right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. And when I graduated from college, I became an IT manager for a little company you may have heard of called the Walmart Corporation.
Yes.
Then moved back to Memphis a couple of years later, bumped into my dentist that I had seen when I lived here previously at church. And he said, "Hey, I'd like to are you visiting?" I said, "Oh no, we moved back." He said, "I want to take you to lunch." So he hired me to come and be his office manager. And I said, I don't really know anything about running a dental practice. And he said, "That's okay. I've had this one for 11 years and I don't know that much about it either." So great guy, great practice, joined his team. And within a few months, first I got in there and I said, "Where are the manuals?" Walmart, I don't enjoy shopping at Walmart. I really don't. But for all of its faults, it didn't get where it is by not having manuals and policies and strategies. And so I said, "Well, where's the operating manual that tells how to run this?" And he just kind of looked at me. So, we were on Easy Dental. There was an Easy Dental manual that was about this big and a periodontal textbook, which kind of grossed me out. That was really about it. So we worked as good. He showed me the numbers. We made minimal progress. And when I saw where the profitability was, and they had been family friends of mine for years, I was like, this guy is working so hard and the practice is growing. He is seeing modest improvements, but mainly the team was winning and he was not. And so we actually began to work with some consultants. I had no idea that people exist, that what I do existed, but I fell in love with this. He is just a great, great person. I told him, about a year into the consulting part, I said, "I think eventually I want to do that, but I will not leave you until we both agree that it's okay." And so about a year after that, I had hired my replacement, gotten them trained, and
And you probably
off I
had
went.
documentation for
That was
for
25
him or
years
her.
ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was 25 years ago. So it's been a wonderful, if I had it to do over again, even though this was not anything I would have ever picked, would I've done some things differently? Sure. But it's been a wonderful ride. As much as I feel, and I'm always learning, as much as I feel like I know about the business of dentistry, there was little that could have prepared me or any of, I would say, my coaching and consulting colleagues for what we have gone through. At least now we're back in the office. And that was, a lot of my clients, the first few phone calls, I'm like, well, I got nothing as far as what we've done in the past when this has happened, but this is what I know that we do need to do. Right. I've said, hey, it's been a long time since I haven't had a frame of reference for what to do. Because you mentioned, you were just on my show and you mentioned the 2008, 2009. Hey, I went through that.
Yeah.
Right. But that was very different because there was not, an actual shutdown. So, so it's been interesting. So that's what got me here.
Very cool.
And, love the work that I do, love working with doctors and teams. You and I were talking about this earlier. I miss you guys. I miss people.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Zoom, but
Zoom's great, but
I miss being with everybody. So looking forward to some of that returning, and also enjoying that really couldn't seem to figure out how to get on Zoom. Now everybody knows how to use Zoom.
Yeah. That's one nice thing about it, because you record your podcast in Zoom, I record mine on it. We'd have to do some training on some people, but now it's like everyone knows how to do it. But I'm with you. I do miss the face-to-face meetings, and I tell on like a business management standpoint, I work with lots of younger people than me, and they tend to like the remote work more. But I've learned over the years that the there's something about face-to-face that you cannot replace it with a Zoom meeting. There's
you can't pick up on as many nuances.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like when you're
that too.
Training, even if you can see everybody, you can't pick up on if I'm not really following you, right? If I'm not really on board with what it is that you're talking about, it's a whole lot harder to pick up on the body language. I mean,
absolutely.
If you've got 10 people in a room as opposed to 10 little squares. If all of a sudden somebody's posture stiffens, right, or they quit breathing, like you can tell that they're not cool. You can't really pick up on that.
Yeah, no.
You have to go back and watch the film and watch and see what everybody was doing. And it's so much easier for people, or maybe I'm just confessing, to tune out.
Yeah.
If I'm in the room and there's 10 of us and I start playing on my phone, it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And there's 10 of us, and all of a sudden I can be sort of looking like I'm paying attention or like I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
I could be trying to draw a caricature of you. I could be playing tic-tac-toe. I mean, I could be watching something else on my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I like, whether it's meeting at, conferences, I always like doing that, because there's just something different. I shouldn't say different,
also
something needed.
With virtual, you can't have great snacks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think,
I'm just grasping, just being silly.
Yeah, you're good. When I was younger, I guess, managing the dental lab, I always dreamed of figuring out a way to make working the dental lab remote. But the longer I've been in business and the longer I've managed and owned businesses, the more I guess I've come to a conclusion that there's something about working in an office with people, collaborating and feeling each other's energy in the room, right? There's something about that, and I think for some reason I've missed that even more, throughout COVID with events, and then because you collaborate with people when you go to events, right? It's just
Absolutely.
so much better. Even, even the dentists that go to events and listen to live speakers, there's an element of collaboration and energy that you just can never get digitally. So anyways, that's kind of my rant on this day and age, I guess, in the world.
I think it's so true. I mean, and it takes energy. I mean, we've all been through some change that none of us would have necessarily signed up for.
Yeah,
but it
absolutely.
takes energy to, respond to a change. And
Yeah.
one of the exciting, if I can call it exciting, things to come out of this is I am seeing, at least with my clients, because I mean, those are the ones that I've got that I've got the front row seat to, or I'm ringside with.
Yep.
No longer tolerate some things that they were tolerating, whether it is a team member that wasn't really on board, or participating with as many PPOs. It's, and you and I talked about this a little bit before, whatever, when you think about core values and you think about culture, because it all comes back to the practices that I've got practices that are absolutely crushing not only their goals, but more than what they were doing before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not
fantastic.
They haven't added more hours. It's like, okay, we're back. At least now we've got more demand, right? Which we're working on. All right,
yes.
We're going to blow through this in a couple of months. We can't think it would be great if this continues, but we don't know that it will. But they're keeping blocks open for their new patients. They're even adding more new patient blocks. We're looking at, is there another PPO plan or two that we can eliminate? And when there's something about, and I haven't had to do it, as I mentioned to you, I've been on an airplane once and I was such a baby about the whole mask thing. I thought I never could make it as a dentist, or
I think I'm the same way.
Or a hygienist. I'm like, this is really not fun. It was not a whole lot of fun. But it costs us more now to see a patient. In many areas, we can't schedule as heavily as we did.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of it depends on space. Your overhead's gone up.
Sure. Yeah. And that should be expected every year, right? That overhead should go up, some percentage.
Well, right. But I'm thinking this year
it's gone up even more.
Yeah. It instead of going up a step, it probably leaped a floor. I mean, just with PPE.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact of supply and demand, right? Which still hasn't caught up, but right now, from what I'm hearing, gloves are more expensive. Some of the basic, it's not just the addition.
Yeah.
And so you would hope, right, that some of that will come back down. But now we can't potentially see as many people.
Yeah.
Our cost per patient has gone up. Whether we want to say it's $10 a patient, $15, just to kind of pull that out. And then most offices are not aware, and this is something that I'm revisiting with clients and doctors that I'm talking with, is what's your break-even dollar per chair hour for you in operative and in hygiene? And in other words, what do you have to not just produce, right? Which is very, we can be very misled, especially if we're looking at gross production figures and we're participating with PPOs.
Oh, yeah.
What do we have to collect per operative chair, per hygiene chair to break even, meaning the doctor hasn't even made a penny.
Yeah.
Right? You've not made 15 cents. And really knowing how to look at the fixed costs and the direct cost now more than ever. If you didn't know your numbers, you need to find somebody that can help you figure that out. And also then look at those PPO plans to see, I would love to see, and I'm seeing it with some of my clients that are making decisions about eliminating plans and doing it in a way. It's like you talk about face-to-face. This is not, hey, if you listen to this today and you decide tomorrow to mail letters to all of your patients and tell them plan, you did not pay attention to what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
It's a 6 to 8 month strategy that's you've got to have the team on board. There's a lot, marketing is communication. You got to have everybody in alignment on what to say and the why. Yeah. It's really short term, and this is like the whole team mindset, they may think it's not in the patient's best interest. Oh, really? Well, is it in their best interest that, like what you were saying, they're still having to pay their insurance premiums?
Yep.
More than likely their benefit year didn't get extended.
Mm-hmm.
And so they may be short an evaluation and prophy. They may be short a hygiene visit. Is it in their best interest that they may not be able to get the ideal treatment that they want? So, so I've seen a lot of change with that. The other thing that I am working with clients on is to say, okay, let's go back. We got to come back to the fundamentals, right? We got to know our numbers, know our share hour value. The other is focusing on, especially if there are PPOs, high value scheduling. I mean, with my clients, I've said, look, doctors like Jordan, right? If you were a dentist, I'd say, we're going to look at this, because especially if you're limited by one, let's say you've decreased your operative schedule short term by 1 or 2 patients a day, right? Because of what you're needing to do to keep everyone safe. Your operative goal shouldn't be lower. Yeah. What should happen is some of those dollar value appointments that fall below what your dollar per chair, like the lower end of it, as long as, always we want to take care of patients that are in pain, but those need to be bumped out further. So it may be, and you don't need to be apologetic about it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, hey, our next available opening for that procedure is, and I'm not looking at a calendar, but it's Tuesday, September the 4th. Wow, that far out. You know what? Right now it is, and I'll be happy to put your name on a list to get you back in. But we've got to be more protective than ever of our chair hour time. Yeah. So, and then also patients that didn't keep appointments. Maybe it's just me, but my level of toleration for that, I'm over it. And I'm not talking about because they've got COVID symptoms. I'm thinking, you want to complain that your broken and canceled appointments are running 7 to 15%. Who's putting them back on the book?
Yeah.
We are. Mm-hmm. Right? Have we lost our mind? And I think we need to be kind always, but there are some patients and practices that I work with that need to be lovingly invited to go find another dental home.
Yeah. And I think, that's a normal thing to do in any business. I think, I've had to do that in every business I've ran, because sometimes I call it just an alignment of customer business culture, right? Because sometimes customers don't fit the culture of the business, right? Because we talk a lot about culture fit with employees, but I think at least from what I've experienced, it goes to customers as well. You need to have customers I say customers, but I mean patients as well for
patients,
those.
right?
Yeah,
right.
From my perspective. But I was looking at our own core values the other day, and I'm like, you know what? When a customer fits this profile, it's a really good fit as well as when employees fit it, right? And I don't know if that, you may have known that for years, but it finally hit me in the head, right? But I'm like, oh my gosh, there's certain types of customers that are ideal and they work really well with us, and it's a good relationship, right? And the same thing in the dental practice. There's going to be patients that maybe it boils down to one thing, and they don't value the service of dentistry as much as patient in class A, let's say, right? That they value everything that you do for them. Maybe it's as simple as cutting out those patients that don't typically see or understand the value.
Maybe it's personality style.
That too, yeah.
It probably is.
Yeah, I know.
I don't get being afraid to have the conversation with patients that don't keep appointments. Like, there's a time and place to have it, but I think it's hey, we care about you. We enjoy seeing you, and hey, blame it on the pandemic.
Yeah.
With all of our protocols that we have now, we are really we've had to raise the bar
Yeah.
on being sure that patients can keep appointments. And here's what we've noticed. Jordan, we've noticed that you've missed 12, like no-showed or, less than 24-hour canceled 12 appointments in the last 18 months. And we love you and we care about you. We can't take care of you if you're not here.
Yeah.
And we want to let you know, we'll give you one grace one. And then unfortunately, we may not be able to be your dental office.
Yeah.
Right? What if you get mad? Well, you know what? You can go and gum up somebody else's appointment book. And even as a coach, you kind of begin to look, there are coaching clients that it's funny, right? Here I am, I've got all sorts of potential clients, right, that may be listening. But if you want your patients to keep appointments, do you keep your coaching sessions?
True.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm show up and I'm prepared and I'm ready, and then it's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to, I don't mean if there's an emergency.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't mean if you have a patient that shows up in the chair with a broken tooth, but if you knew yesterday and you didn't, it comes down to profile of ideal fit.
Yeah.
And we worry so much about losing any patient.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on, right, fear has us make dumb decisions.
Let me get this book that I think is really good. Just for some reason, when you said fear, making decisions on fear, it's right here in front of me. Give me a second.
Okay. Come back. Come back.
I've recently read started reading this book. It's called Above the Line. Our sales manager here at BoomCloud has been reading it, and he's
I love it. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's good. It's I haven't finished it yet, but basically it talks about making decisions based off of fear. Exactly what we're talking about here, Penny. Where people, and I myself included, I don't want to lose customers, right? You work hard to get those customers, but sometimes it is necessary to weed out customers and even employees that may not be a fit, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe causing problems for the business or practice. But this book talks about it's above the line thinking. Basically, is the concept, and it says most people start making decisions, in fear, and we can say that now, even in the pandemic, that lots of people have made some decisions based off of fear, and myself included. Like I'm guilty.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure I have too. Although I did get a puppy, and I don't think that was based on fear.
No, that doesn't sound. That does not sound like you've made decisions based on fear there. But there's a diagram that I'm hoping to find here. But I think. And our sales manager here, his name, I don't know if you've met him yet, but his name is Techie. His family's from Hawaii and the islands.
Cool.
Similar to Ben, who does the podcast with me, right? So I love working with the type of people because they really have a good, positive, easygoing mindset. And at least Techie, that's his name. His name's Techie.
I love it.
He's fantastic. Everyone loves him. But basically, I don't know if you can see this diagram very well.
I can.
I'll read it. So basically, it says there's this line here in the middle of it, and above the line is making decision off of humility or personal growth, and love or growing others, and then that's obviously when you make decisions based off that you're going to be successful and you're going to have the right frame of mind. And then there's pride or self-promoting, and fear or self-protecting is another way to make decisions. Now, I haven't finished this book, but when you said I
like it because it has a picture in it. If there were pictures on every page, I would like it even more.
There's a good amount of diagrams, but it's not every page. So I agree with you. I'm definitely a person who likes pictures when they're reading. I think that's why I like reading my kids' books to them at night. There's pictures.
Hey, yeah, I have kids, so I've just started reading. If you'd like for me to read, Jordan, if you want me to read Aunt Penny to read some books.
Yes.
I might. Hey, look.
Were you reading books?
I might even have
Oh
Pia's
my
for
gosh. I should totally do it.
With a little flip out. Bet you've never had anybody flip out Pia's for potty or wait.
I should totally do a Zoom call with you and say, read a story with me and my kids. Baby Shark. Oh, my 2-year-old would love that.
Oh no, I'm good. And like I said, I'm too young. Technically, I don't have any grandkids. All my nieces and nephews are too old, and I don't have any great nieces or nephews yet. So, but I think really and I'm actually looking, I'm not going to flip the camera around, but on my wall, behind my camera, underneath my atomic clock, which I look at to be sure that I stay on time, are 2 questions. And they are, what do you want? And what are you willing to do to get what you want? Mm-hmm. And so, I think this is a time that many of us have looked at, what is it that I really do want? Yeah. What I want in my practice? What would make me want to show up every day and look more forward to being there, or not feel this tension between myself and my business partner, or myself and my office man, fill in the blank. Yeah. And what am I, so that we tend to stop there, but then it's what am I willing to do to get what I want? I love that. If you're holding on to, I'm going to get Mickey here, if you're holding on to, sorry, Mickey, for who I'm the role that you're about to play. If you're holding on to these PPOs, or to the patients that don't keep appointments because you're afraid to let go of them, it's never going to change, right? I mean, you don't just need to, let go of them and not have a plan, right?
Sure,
how do we communicate this? Again, there's distinction between marketing and advertising.
Absolutely.
If you want to minimize, and most practices will not be PPO free. I mean, I have some fee for service, and I tell them, I all the time, I say, look, I know you hired me to coach you, not be a professional nagger. It's not easy to be married to me either, just as Rob. But I'm harder on the fee-for-service offices in a good way than I am on the ones that aren't, because I'm like, look, guys, look at your collections that you have right now, and slash it by 20%, with the same amount of overhead. Yeah. And, or in order to collect this, let's add 20 to 30% more appointments to your schedule.
Sure. Higher volume.
It's hard. And you're running having been, I was both in IT with Walmart for a little bit of the time I was in the store. There's a big difference between Walmart and, if box stores still stay there, Walmart and Target even, but there's a difference between Walmart, Target, or a higher end store. I was out of town this past week. I think I told you Dana Watson and I flew to Charlotte and surprised Deborah Nash for her birthday. Right? This is what you do in a pandemic, right? When you
sure.
And we went in. We had lunch out one day, and we went in this boutique store, and the lady was like, "Oh, hey, look at these." But this store, they hadn't decided what they wanted. It was a cool store, but they hadn't decided what they wanted to be. They had furniture. They had these ladies' belts, and they're like, oh, they're custom made. We'll make them out of whatever leather or fabric you want, whatever width. Okay, so you've got Walmart, who's herding people in and out like cattle, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've got this other shop, and then there were also these $450 throw pillows. And she says, oh, just to let you know, we make these custom, because a lot of the other shops in town, you would buy a throw pillow, and, well, a lot of other people had the same throw pillow. And I'm thinking, okay, I'd be just trying to find a throw pillow that matched my stuff. I wouldn't be worried about that other part, but there are people that do.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And so and then some businesses fall somewhere in between the spectrum, but when you're on that PPO game, and it's not that it's a horrible game, but it's about being fat. Like how quick, it's like Chick-fil-A, how quickly can we move these people through the drive-through? and it's not that it's bad, but it's like you've got to decide.
If you do that, you got to have the right systems and processes to successfully do that, like Walmart
Right.
or Chick-fil-A even. Because I mean, I know at least here in Utah, everybody is obsessed with Chick-fil-A. I don't know if it's just, I know my
Yeah, no, this
my
probably
daughters
wasn't-
love it.
I don't think the lines would be any longer if they were giving that stuff away for free.
Yeah.
I really don't. I
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah.
But you understand where I'm coming from. It's the, work isn't easy, right?
Mhm.
But work can be fun. It can
Sure.
be simple. It doesn't mean that it's hard work, but it's
Yeah.
when you pull it back down to the math, you need 1,000, anywhere from, I've seen as low as 1,000 up to 1,200, 1,500 active patients to generate $1 million in collections. I mean, and I realize that's a big swing, but I mean, you don't have to have everybody,
Yeah.
right? And now's the time to be looking at, and what's so cool is there's a lot of dashboards out there and things like
Sure.
that. But
Yeah.
for our uninsured, and I love I don't remember if it was the beginning of this show or when we were recording the other one, when you were talking about the unscheduled patients, that a ton of them don't have insurance. Well, let's change that.
Change it.
Going back to
Make
my
it a
little
revenue
puppy, I
stream.
don't think twice about taking her to the vet.
Yeah.
We've got the puppy
You
plan.
got the puppy plan, which is really interesting because
we can take her, I think,
yeah.
as many times as we want. Now, depending on what they do while they're there, we have to pay for that if it's outside of what was included. But all of her shots, even she will not be having other puppies. I cannot handle more puppies.
I don't think I could do that either.
It even took care of that. So how can we make it easier for our best patients to stay engaged and involved in the practice?
Yeah.
And that's what we is our good, better, and best patients.
Absolutely. And I think we also live in a society who we want things to be convenient, right? I know I buy things primarily off convenience. My wife always makes fun of me because if it's convenient for me or what, like I got a robot vacuum, right? Because I hate vacuuming. So I got, I think everybody has those now, but you can just turn it on the app. But I also, there's just silly things like that. But most people are like that now. Most people like convenience. So from my perspective, I guess, if a practice or patient doesn't have insurance, that it's already causing some friction there in regards to convenience, right? They don't feel like it's convenient for them to go because they're missing out on my benefits or whatever it may be. But that's kind of how I look at it too, is the demographics of people and kind of why people buy things, whether it's dentistry or software or a guitar, right? I got a guitar right here. I think I bought this guitar off Amazon actually because it was so convenient. I just said, "Oh, this looks great," and I bought it off. But I think convenience, making it and being convenient, I think is a quality of customer experience. I think, and I think as we move forward in dentistry, that's something all dentists and office managers and team members should think about. But that's just my opinion.
Well, and I think too, when you were talking about cash flow. Looking at for the patients, what's their cash flow?
Yeah.
And
sure,
a client of mine mentioned something. I actually got to see her. Like she was in town. We got to go to dinner together.
Nice.
Like, not on Zoom. It was
not
awesome.
a Zoom.
And she mentioned that she had just started working with a dental CPA, which I was, woo.
Fantastic.
And one of the ones that she had looked at otherwise said, it may have wound up being the same thing, but on their fee schedule, they charged separately for everything. She said, I went with the one where I just paid the fee and I don't have to worry how much if I need to call and ask a question, 30-minute phone consult that I've got to pay. In other words, every single little thing was itemized. And she said, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, sure.
And I think for our patients, having a membership plan, providing that convenience. And I find that a lot with coaching, clients that are in a coaching relationship. I don't want them to not pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. They don't have to worry about, can I ask you this question? And I have some that do, PRN, but then it's always that looming, okay, well, if I call,
How much
you
are you
know,
going to charge me?
and it cost, and then are you going to get the help that you need?
Yeah.
So,
I
and
look at, like
that
how like lawyers charge like a pretty steep hourly rate. The good ones do, at least.
right.
Um, but if you think about that, and if you're well prepared, I think, I don't know how you charge. I think you do like subscription consulting. Is that kind of how it
I
works
do
with you?
have subscription consulting, and then
Which
I have some where
on
they're
the
like,
on
okay, well,
cart
we
type
need
stuff?
help with this. And I'll say, well, look, let's start out with this small package. And
Uh-huh.
then maybe you'll have gotten what you need. Or if you think you want to
Sure.
take the next step, we have a chance to work together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do both, but the
Okay,
clients
cool.
that get the best results are usually the ones that are on the subscription
Well, yeah, because
because
they're committed. They're committed, and I mean, obviously you see this too, and you can compare this to patients that are committed, right, on a subscription
right.
or membership. But if you think about this, if I'm thinking with like my relationship with my attorney, he's a good friend of mine. He charges me per hour, right? But I would gladly pay a subscription because I do work with him every month on
Sure.
things that we need here as a business. But they're valuable things, at least from my perspective as a business owner. They're valuable things to consider. And then I've even worked with some consultants that we've flown in here, dental consultants that we've flown in and that have consulted with us, as well as my industry is SaaS, right? Software as a service. That's the industry that we're in. So we work with consultants all the time to help provide value. Because look, I've run companies before, but I've never ran. This is my first software company. Now I have a second one now, but I ask questions all the time, and most likely, whether you've been in practice for 2 years or 10 years, is probably your first practices you've ever ran before. And I think having some type of guidance is always good. I even am part of masterminds, and I think this is something that I think it's done in dentistry, but we're part of a few masterminds here where we go speak with other CEOs in the software space and other VPSLs and things like that to learn from them. In fact, we've created one that has a few other dental software companies that we get together and we talk and we mastermind. And I think that's a form of consulting. But my point is that throughout the pandemic and everything, I think there's not better, but increased value in having another set of eyes look at what is needed in the business side of dentistry. Because as a dentist, they focus on the clinical side, which is fantastic, and then they end up buying a business or starting a startup and owning a business without much business training. And I think throughout this the shutdown and everything in the past here, that I would imagine that, or I would even encourage practices listening to this, that having a consultant on your side is a valuable thing. Even though you may have to pay them something, there is definitely a return on that payment.
Oh, absolutely. Hey,
with time.
I've had a coach for years.
Yeah.
It's not only about what they've helped me achieve,
Mm-hmm.
they've helped me avoid some really bad decisions.
Yeah. Well, I say this. So
it's not just about the great decisions. It's about avoiding bad decisions.
Absolutely. And I think, so I see multiple consultants, at least in how I run my company. I work with a CPA, which is a form of consulting, right? I work with an attorney, and then I work with sales consultants for my sales team. And then I work with other segments, engineering, software engineering consultants.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, you pay all these people. They're part of your team, right? They got your back. They're right. I think I paid years ago. I paid $1,000, which seemed huge to me at the time of starting BoomCloud. Again, I bootstrapped BoomCloud, meaning we're customer funded. I grew it based off of customer revenue, not outsider investor revenue, which I think is really the way to build any business, because you focus on the customer. And even even the employees, right? Those are my board of advisors, if you think about it.
Right.
But I paid $1,000 to an attorney to help me draft up a proper agreement between me and when I started BoomCloud, I had co-founders. I've bought them out a few years ago because they ended up not being a fit, which is normal in business. But I spent $1,000 on that investment to have a solid operating agreement, which I thought was necessary at the time, but it also was like, oh my gosh, we're a startup. This hurts, right?
Yeah.
But that $1,000 saved me $500,000 when it came to buying out my co-founders, because we had a process. We had a process to buy each other out if needed, right? And it defined it then, and we signed it, right, and agreed to it, from the past, right? But it saved me $500,000, and it was only $1,000, right?
I'd like that ROI on
Yeah.
everything.
If you think about that, whatever consulting it is, whether it's an attorney or a CPA or a business coach or consultant, however, I know some people say, no, we're a coach or we're a consultant. I know there's that debate in the consulting world, but whatever it is, there's usually a return on investment, especially if the consultant has good experience like yourself, Penny, with just running a dental practice. But I think I've seen a lot of our customers reach out to consultants lately. I think that's a trend also because, well, that shutdown hurt, right? And it hurt, right? All my family's in dentistry. My dad runs the dental lab. It hurt, right? Hurt for him. My mom manages a pediatric practice just down the street from here. And it hurt, right? And I'm finding more and more practices as a trend, right? They're reaching out to get more outside help, which I think is valuable. And again, I'm kind of going on a rant here. We value that here at BoomCloud. Like I was talking about one of our sales reps, we're changing things here because, things have changed. So we're changing some things here as well, just like a practice should. And hopefully we're giving some good advice to some of our practices because we're encouraging them to increase their plan pricing and things like that. But I was talking to my techie, our sales manager here at BoomCloud, and in the early days of BoomCloud, I was poor. I couldn't afford to hire consultants, right? But I knew I needed someone to help look with outside pair of eyes. I value that because every day, and much like a dental practice owner, every day you're in your own trenches, you're seeing it with your own eyes, your own perspective. I think it's extremely healthy and valuable to get somebody outside and look at maybe something you're missing because you're this close, right, to your business. You're this close.
There's no way you can see everything from the outside.
I was talking to my sales manager because I was sitting on some sales calls with him to give him some consulting because in the early days of BoomCloud, I had a friend that owned a software company. In fact, his son works for us now. It's kind of funny. But my friend, I asked him to be my mentor in the early days of startup. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it for you. We'll just take him out to lunch, right? And that was his payment at the time. But at the time I asked him to come and sit on and listen to my presentations of sharing BoomCloud in the early days, because I knew that I was probably doing some things wrong because I'm not a professionally trained salesperson, right? I've had to learn the hard way, which has been awesome. But he sat on those calls and gave me tips and guidance on what I was doing wrong, and I think it's having that humility of, hey, I know I'm doing things wrong, but I know I can fix it and improve. And bringing a coach in is one of the most valuable things that you can do, at least from my perspective, as a fellow business owner, as a fellow entrepreneur in the dental space. I'm not a dentist, but we're in the dental space together. I think that is something that can be crazy valuable if done correctly, obviously. But that's something we continue to do today. We now pay people to come in and coach our teams and myself, because we're a growing company and things are changing, and the world is changing all the time, right? And I think that's just something that is extremely valuable that practice owners should do. So there's my little rant, I guess, on the importance of.
Well, I think it's awesome, and it's like what you mentioned, whether it's a consultant. I do consulting. I am a coach. I'm also an advisor, and one of the biggest things that I would encourage the listeners to do, if you feel like you need help with something, you may not. It may not be the right time for you to do a comprehensive plan, or maybe you've dabbled in some things before, and it is time. Mm-hmm. But there's, especially now, because your numbers are different now than they were 6 months ago, right? Yeah. And then I've heard people say, oh, well, you need to be sure and get your planning done for 2021. I'm like, what about the rest of 2020?
That's focused
right. This is a time of recalibration and looking at, again, we've got to be more intentional than ever before with the schedule. I may go, oh yeah, well, my team knows how to schedule. Do they?
Yeah.
Right. Your overhead's changed, and there's nothing to say. And this is a good note to end on. And this is the analogy that I used with my teams that I coach. Let's say that all of us did the same thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And let's kind of remove ourselves out of the dental practice. But let's say we made widgets. Okay. Well, and we had 3 different jobs. Mm-hmm. Well, at one company, they pay us $40 an hour to make widgets.
Okay.
But it's not a full-time job right now. Mm-hmm. Right. So we've picked up a couple of part-time jobs. Another company pays us $30, and another company pays us $20. Uh-huh. Well, now we've got limited capacity of how much we can work due to some of these PPE protocols.
Sure, yeah.
Which job are you going to give up some hours on? The $40 an hour, the $30 an hour, or the $20 an hour?
Are they all?
I don't know about you.
The
right?
Lower,
I'd be giving up the $20 an hour. So whether you do it by reducing PPO dependency, which I would strongly encourage, because my doctors that see the most PPO patients, do you know one of the most common things that I hear from them when I ask them how they're doing?
What is it?
They say, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Well, why they're tired? They're seeing 1.5 times more patients than the ones that don't have PPOs.
Yeah.
Right. So we can.
That's a quick way to burn out too, which is.
Oh, absolutely.
Every business owner's risk of owning a business. You don't want to burn out,
But if we look at it that way, we either have to control the PPOs with the appointment book.
Yep.
Which is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Or we've got to begin to eliminate. In other words, what do you want? What are you willing to do to get what you want? Dr. Comstock, what do you want your practice? Here's where you are now. What do you want it to look like 12 months from now? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, what specifically needs to happen? And are we willing to do that? Because it can get better.
Yeah.
I may love Mickey Mouse. I don't have a magic wand, but I do know some things, right? And it goes by having a plan, being clear about it, and the why, which is, what's the why? Well, if I only have so many chair hours, why would I want to make less money when there's enough
Absolutely.
Here
Yeah.
to make the higher end of the money?
Why? Yeah.
Why? I mean, why?
It's a simple question.
Going back to that analogy, sign me up, fill my schedule with the $40 an hour widget company, and then put the overflow on the $30 and tell the $20 when, you know what, we love you, and we don't have room for you right now.
Yeah.
But if you want to pay us more, that would be great. We might find some room.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's a definitely a good strategy to do. And I mean, it just boils down to the PPO is making it more of a commodity when we know it's not a commodity, it's a service. And I think it's very important to ask that question. I guess, like, how much, what's my chair value, or what how did you phrase it? I'm probably not doing it. I'm probably
Yeah,
butchering
what's
it.
your chair hour value? And then
Chair
what's the
hour value.
break
Okay,
even? In other words, what do you have to collect per
Yeah.
operative chair? What do you have to, in an hour? What do you have to collect per hygiene chair hour before you ever get paid? Until you know that,
yeah.
you don't know what being on the PPOs is costing you.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Interesting. And looking at it at that like smaller level, not smaller level, but just more detailed level, I think is empowering for a practice owner to know, those numbers and to make the decisions based off those numbers.
Well, and what so many practice owners don't realize is they have enough. It's like they've got enough or close to it with a little bit of a marketing plan
Mm-hmm.
to make more money,
Yeah.
not have to work as hard, not have to see as many patients.
Amazing.
And here's the saddest part, right? Is that from 25 years of doing this,
Mm-hmm.
the practices that are practicing a little bit smarter, these doctors are not smarter than you. If they're those that are tuned
Sure.
in, they're not smarter than you, and they're not necessary. In some cases, could they be clinically better? Maybe. In some cases, I'll tell
Sure.
you they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, but the difference is in the mindset and the planning.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us have to have an outside guide
Yeah.
to be able to help us do that, whether it's a mastermind group,
Yep.
a consultant, a coach, or a combination.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's been valuable for me. I often say to myself and to, my leadership team here, I'm like, I feel like I'm always sailing on new waters, right? New oceans. And I'm trying to navigate, as things go, and you need a guide. You need somebody to help look and do different, roles to help you look at all the different
Mm-hmm.
things of managing a business from my perspective. So I just think
and I think the other is you want to know that you're not alone.
that too, because
For a lot
it
of
can be
practice
lonely.
owners, they're independent professionals, or maybe it's a partnership, and you're not alone. There are people out there that can help you make it better.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So I mean, I think what the value that you bring to the practice is amazing. And for those listening to the show today, I recommend you reach out to Penny and all the amazing things that she can do for your office. Penny, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I would say probably the simplest way, I'll give you a couple options, but the simplest way is go to our website, which is dentalcoachinginstitute.com. So dentalcoachinginstitute.com. There's a chat with Penny
Nice.
box there, and you can do that, put your question in. You can schedule a 15-minute, if you want to talk about your widgets or your dollar per chair hour, you can schedule a conversation. Or my email is Penny, Penny, at dentalcoachinginstitute.com. So those are the best ways to reach me. And thank you again, Jordan, for having me on the show.
It's always fun hanging out with you, Penny, and I can't wait to see you at the ADMC meeting later this year.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it remains. It doesn't get canceled.
Yeah. That is what I'm hoping, Care.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to the show today. It's been a wonderful episode, and we hope you reach out to Penny and take her advice, and we hope you have a rocking day.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.